Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us at the 10K Project for another Bet on Black pitch. As many of you know, my name is Tawana Rivers. I'm your Chief Operating Officer, and we are super excited to have another week where we highlight a Black founder who's doing amazing things in our community and solving problems. And so I'd like to introduce to you Jamila with Chewbox. Jamila is going to tell us everything about what Chewbox is doing. First, I'm going to share the campaign page so that you guys know where to go when you consider investing. As you all know, we will be putting the campaign link in the chat. So you don't have to worry about doing that, Jamila. We'll put that in the chat throughout the evening. We'll put it in there about 20, 30 times before this evening is over. So they'll have no excuse on where to find the link because it's going to be there. I'm going to share my screen and just show the campaign. Guys, this campaign is on Seat at the Table. And you guys know I brag about Seat at the Table, right? They are one of the Black-owned portals. And so we definitely are happy to be not only supporting Chewbox this evening, but to be supporting Seat at the Table this evening as well. So here is the campaign page for Chewbox, right? They are looking to raise $250,000. They have currently raised $6,000. The minimum investment on this particular campaign is $1,000. Here's a nice message from the CEO, who could not join us tonight because he's traveling internationally, but he did leave a message for us that Jamila will play, which I think is so sweet and thoughtful of him. All of the information about the campaign is here. The terms are here. Their Form C is here for you to look at. I always say to you guys, so I'll say it again tonight to be consistent, please look at the entire campaign page. The founders spent a lot of time making sure they put just the right amount of information that they know you need to see to understand everything they're doing, right? And so I love this campaign page because instead of just static pictures of the team, there are videos of the team. It's actually the first time I've seen that, and I absolutely loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. So, so take the time and watch all of those videos, okay? And so again, we'll be putting that in the that campaign link in the chat throughout the evening. And I think with that, we are ready to start. Jamila, I'm going to turn it over to you, my dear. And thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having us. It's really a joy to talk to people about Chewbox. And so I'll say who I am again. I'm Jamila Jarman. I am the Chief Operating Officer and General Counsel for Chewbox. Before we get into what Chewbox is in depth, or actually I add to what my CEO is going to tell you, I'm going to actually play a video that he did for us since he's unable to be here because he had to catch an international flight, unfortunately. Well, fortunate, but unfortunately, he can't be here with us tonight. But I'm going to play that video. Once we're done with that video, I'll add a little bit more, and then we'll turn over to your questions because really we want to be able to talk to you. We don't want to just talk at you because that's really what's important for you to really understand who we are and what we're doing. So I'm going to share my screen. If for some reason you cannot hear when I hit play, please say something in the chat, but it should be good to go. So if everyone can see, I'm about to hit play.
Hi, my name is Kim Gaston. I am the co-founder and CEO of Chewbox, and it is super early in the morning. I'm about to hop on a plane on an international flight, and so I cannot be with you today, but I really appreciate your time. I'm leaving you in incredible hands. Jamila is one of the best things to ever happen at Chewbox, and so I don't want to take up too much time because I think there's a lot of questions she can answer for all of you. But I just want to kind of tee this up for her. What is Chewbox? What are we up to? Why is this a great investment opportunity for you all? I'm going to keep it super simple. Software is eating the world. Anything that can move from atoms to bits will. Silicon Valley is entirely structured to invest in founders who are creating companies that are purely moving things from atoms to bits. But there are these categories that are really deeply meaningful and very large, like food services, $3 trillion worldwide, that will always be somewhat atomic in nature. So software passes through it, but it doesn't digitize it, it optimizes it. And so an optimized version of a vertical basically is an order of of magnitude greater in performance capacity than its predecessor. So the question that we asked ourselves in the early stages of developing Chewbox was, what does it look like when software passes through food services? Well, it's going to optimize what was already there. Well, what's the key metric when you're looking at food services? And it's profit per square foot. So how do you optimize profit per square foot using software? Well, we know that the equation of profit is really just revenues minus expenditures. So we got to look at revenues and we got to look at expenditures. How do you optimize there? With revenues, you ought to be able to, with the same square footage, simply make more food. That would look like going from restaurant to ghost kitchen or going from dine-in to delivery only. So we're seeing that happen. But what do you do on the expenditure side? One of the things that's never been done, or at least hasn't been done well, is eliminating the gap between supply and demand. That is what makes restaurants a really bad business, makes food services companies not so great, is the gap between supply and demand. Way too much food is made for people who are not eating it, right? So, so like if you're trying to optimize profit or maximize profit, but you run a restaurant, on high demand days, you sell out of the food everyone wants, so you can't maximize profit. On low demand days, you have too many people working. You don't have a dynamic operation model. And so as a result, you can't optimize profit. So it's really, really hard to do so. Food costs way too much. For the consumer, for the manufacturer, for the distributor, it just costs too much. And it's mainly because no one's ever closed the gap on supply and demand. Now, how do you do that effectively? You allow people to schedule their meals days, weeks, and months in advance. And I'm not talking about the kinds of scheduling that's going on currently, which is basically on-demand food services that's just simply delayed. I'm talking about actually telling the kitchen ahead of time what it is that you want, days, weeks, months in advance. What that does is it eliminates any guessing. It lets restaurateurs know exactly who's going to be working and exactly how many of what SKUs are being made that day. What's best though is this on-schedule model also allows for the transformation of meal delivery from this one-to-one model to a one-to-many model. That means one driver currently gets pinged by Uber Eats, goes to Wendy's, picks up one meal, and takes it to one person. Then they get pinged again to go to McDonald's, pick up one meal, and deliver it to another person. So we see the opportunity for an on-schedule option where one driver picks up to 50 meals and drives them to their respective customer in a route. And that not only drives down emissions per meal delivered, it optimizes revenues per mile driven, and ultimately creates a much more efficient way to distribute meals. And those savings can be passed on to customers. The same way that the savings that the kitchen gets can be passed on to customers. And that's how we are able to get a $15 meal that would be $20 to $25, with delivery, made and delivered to our customers for $9. So when we stepped back and looked at, where everything is going with food services, we saw that where it will go is this on-demand, where it is going already is this is away from on-demand onto an on-schedule model. Well, here's the problem. When you go from on-demand to on-schedule, you for the first time in food tech need to step behind the counter and reimagine the logistics that the kitchen operates on. So right now, the logistics of any kitchen, whether it's a commissary on a school campus or a college campus or a corporate campus, or if it's just a mom and pop restaurant, they all operate under the same assumptions in terms of their kitchen logistics. And that is, people are to be fed, meals are to be made in the order in which people walked in to the restaurant, to the food service. And so, unless it's a buffet style, which has its own issues, which we can talk about another time, but essentially for restaurants, meals are made in the order in which people walk in the door. Well, here's what happens in an on-schedule model instead of on-demand. There's a cutoff point before the delivery window, And at that point, we get a data set. And the way that kitchen logistics works is there's a head chef who sets the menus at the top of the hierarchy. At the bottom are line cooks who are basically making meals constantly. And in the middle, there's a sous chef who's essentially making sure that the directives of the head chef is being carried out by the line cooks in the order through which, the receiving consumer placed their order. Well, if everyone is placing orders in the cloud in a calendar-based or an on-schedule method of food services, if that's how it's happening, then we have a problem because no sous chef can look at a data set of 50 different meals that need to be delivered in a route and determine what meals to make in which order for which customer. Impossible, even with a small subset of 20 meals. It takes a long time. But a software, an algorithm could solve for this in microseconds. And what that means is that for any given city where people are saying, letting a kitchen know I want this meal on this day, when you have thousands of people doing it, that kitchen needs a way to know the order in which they need to be making which meals and how to put them into a cohort to hand them to a driver who will drive them to their locations in a route. And so what we did was we invented the Apostle patent, which is an autonomous point of sale triggered logistics engine. And all it basically does is it walks backward from the data set and says, okay, what's the optimal routes? What meals go on these routes? When do those meals leave the kitchen? What time do they need to be cooked and packaged? What time do they need to be prepped? What SKUs were entered by the kitchen manager? And looking at the recipes and everything for the meals that are requested, what SKUs are needed by this kitchen to fulfill their orders. So we actually filed a patent on Valentine's Day this year, and we were awarded it mid-July. So we built a software suite that basically allows the actualization of the Apostle patent in the form of a series of applications all connected through a central API server. So essentially, we make it possible for food service companies to allow their customers to plan ahead and save. Who we're really focused on right now, we have a partnership with a major Fortune 500 company, multi-million-dollar partnership to build a 10,000 square foot kitchen right in the heart of a city that has the highest concentration of Black poverty in America, is Detroit. And we're also so in addition to building this revolutionary kitchen where we will allow for celebrities as well as everyday people to have their own menus in our system and receive a royalty every time their menu is purchased on our system. But in addition to even just things like that, innovations like that, we're turning around and using the same software to help that same Fortune 500 company expand their food and beverage offering to remote workers. So if you work remotely, you'll be able to receive meals from your office delivered to your home. So from the office, commissary, or cafeteria delivered to your home. That is, I think, going to be our biggest play so far. We can build $1 billion company with not that many meals being processed. We are pure software, so we don't contract with drivers, we don't make food, we don't build kitchens. We're doing this one kitchen because a Fortune 500 asked us to, but it was what we needed to develop and export the software that's going to revolutionize a global $3 trillion a year business. And so I'm saying all that to say what? I'm saying it to say that Chewbox has a very unique potential. As a software company, we can build a multi-billion-dollar company over the next few years. But what I'm also saying is this is an incredible investment opportunity for all of you, because it's very rare that a Black-owned and Black VC-backed tech startup is turning around to everyday ownership-minded people of color saying, hey, we need your support in order to get across this finish line. giving you guys an opportunity to invest alongside the world's top investors. I mean, Mitch and Frida Kapor don't need an introduction. For those in the investment community in tech, they invested in us personally and then introduced us to the team at Mac who led our Series seed rounds. So I'm saying this to say, you're in good hands today with Jamila. She can break down kind of where we are and where we're headed as a company, but at the end of the day, we're here to change the way food works because food is broken. There should not be a such thing as a food desert because we have more than enough food to feed the people on this planet. What we don't have are micro-logistic systems like Chewbox to make it simple for everyone to do this. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm gonna hand this over to Jamila to facilitate any questions with great answers. And I look forward to connecting with you guys. I look forward to those of you who are coming on board as investors today. Thank you so much for considering Chewbox. I think it's a great opportunity for all of us. And again, I apologize for not being with you, but I had to hop on this flight. And I will definitely see you all soon. Take care.
Okay, I know I saw that people were having trouble hearing. So I'm gonna actually go back because Kim did not tell our origin story, which I think is really important to hear, as well as kind of explaining the software a little bit more. And of course, we can go into any questions in case there were things that you missed or didn't really understand of what Kim was talking about. So Chewbox actually started off taking over a failed restaurant that was located in the Watts neighborhood. Our CEO, Kim, grew up in the Watts neighborhood and had the opportunity to become an entrepreneur through his studies at Stanford and was asked to come back to his community to figure out what to do with this failed restaurant. And in looking at it and thinking about profit per square foot, ghost kitchens, of course, are able to do more profit per square foot. And Kim's father also is a teacher in the school districts in the Watts neighborhood. And so he saw his father taking sack lunches to school or forgetting his lunches or only having the opportunity to go and eat at places that were not necessarily nutrient dense. Like we know food deserts, it's not the best choices of food. So he saw his father gain an exponential amount of weight and was like, wait a minute, why is this happening? Why is this the reason? Why is this what's happening for school teachers who are doing this work in these communities? And how do we actually give them services that honor the work that they're doing? So what Chewbox started off doing was actually creating a first-class lounge experience for teachers in their lounges, in their teachers' lounge. So what teachers could do is use the Chewbox app, choose what they wanted, days, weeks, months in advance. The teachers were using it. Whenever it was time for lunch, they could just go directly to their student lounge, pick up their warm food and eat it. Teachers have maybe 30 minutes to eat lunch. And so not being able to go out, not having their own sack lunch just creates a whole myriad of problems. And so the Chewbox app actually helped to alleviate that problem. And we saw teachers were using it as a technology more so than a service. Usually for a restaurant, if you have a person come back once a month, that is a return customer that is doing great business. We had people ordering 3 to 5 times a week and scheduling out their orders. So you have them using this as a technology that's actually helping their lives. Then what happens? We have a pandemic. So our customer is gone. We don't have that teacher customer, but we're able to pivot to a wider consumer market. And what we saw is through this test kitchen that we had in California and the software that we were doing, we could create a software company that could actually be somewhere that could go further than our little test kitchen, but actually help people all across the country, help companies. And so this software we developed, as Kim talked about, we developed the Apostle patent, which is an atomic point of sale trigger logistics engine, which is patented. And this technology actually goes behind the counter. A lot of POS systems are really customer to transaction. What our software actually does is goes behind the counter and allows you to optimize this on-demand model, being the sous chef the brain of the sous chef, because you're getting all of these orders at once. You need a way to organize how you get food in, how you get food out. And when you have it all on schedule, it's all coming to you at once, unlike traditional models that are on demand, where you do one by one by one. And so in doing that, we're able to see the optimization a kitchen can have. And so, as Kim said in the video, a meal that would be $15 going into the restaurant, or $20 to $25 if you're getting delivery, with the optimization, we can get that meal down to as low as $9, meaning you are still making a profit, but you're also passing on those savings to others. Another part of what we did is during the pandemic, actually, and we have created in our software and solution, is the ability to actually donate a meal every single time you order food. So a $9 meal, you add $6, that's 15 whole dollars. You've got a meal and you can give a meal to someone else. And so we partner with community organizations to make sure that we can have people who can get those donated meals to the folks in need. And so we work really closely with a lot of the community in Watts. Again, that is our test kitchen. As Kim said, we are not building kitchens. We have one more kitchen that's being built, and that's because we have a partner at a Fortune 500 that really wants to test out our software as well as transportation options. But that is what Chewbox is doing. We are a software company looking to optimize food services. Our next projects are really working with the Fortune 500s to get food to the remote workers. With the pandemic happening, a lot of these corporations have created these multi-million-dollar commissaries. And they don't know when people are going to be on campus. They don't know when to make food. And so they have this huge asset that they actually want to utilize. And so their food service providers are not technology companies. They do not have the ability to get food from their campuses to other people. Some don't even have the ability to get their food to people on the same campus just because it's too far away. So what our software actually does, and what we are introducing to these corporations, is the ability to put this software in their kitchens and get it to the remote workers and continue to optimize the use of those assets. And so we will have a pilot starting in Q1 of next year with one of those Fortune 500s that we're working with. In addition, we are going to be launching Chewbox for restaurants. I don't know if any of you have seen the show The Bear, but there's an episode where they decide to go to online ordering. It's a business that's never had online ordering. And they get all these online orders and they don't have enough food for the online orders and the people in the actual restaurant. And it definitely was a dramatization of what happens in kitchens, but this does happen in kitchens. It's very hard for kitchens to be able to do their actual walk-in customers as well as online deliveries, because they don't know what they're going to get. So it's really hard for them to understand how much food they need to have in the kitchen. So by doing Chewbox for restaurants can actually make all of their online ordering to an on schedule model, which actually helps them with the logistics of getting their food out to people who would like it delivered to them, as well as people who are coming in to enjoy their restaurant. And so that is Chewbox. I will stop there because I can talk all day about all the different things, but I also would love to get the questions from you folks.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Jamila, and thank you to Kim for sharing that with us. Guys, this is the time where you can go ahead and put your questions in the Q&A. I'll start by asking a few questions while they do that. First of all, shout out to Black Tech, right? Super excited about, just the fact that we've got another amazing Black tech company. So Jamila, a few months ago, we had a Black futurist come and tell us that the future is about Black tech. And so to see Chewbox here, talking to the community and giving us an opportunity to invest at the early stage is right in line with what the futurist said we need to be doing. So for all of you who haven't seen that segment with the Black Futurist, find it in our Knowledge Center, because I think that'll be very helpful as you're watching these pitches and you see these Black tech companies that kind of fit the bill based on what they were talking about. So we know that with Chewbox, the ideal customer sounds like is Fortune 500, restaurants. Are there any other customers that would be good targets?
So yeah, there are other customers. I'll just say really succinct, like really clearly, Chewbox is a business to business operation. So it's not a business to consumer operation. We're able to do that consumer part in our test kitchen to be able to test out our software, but we are a business to business platform. We do see that there can be application actually in the K through 20 sector with schools. So there are a lot of schools who actually have programs for students who qualify for dinner services. And right now, those students have to eat at like 3 or 4 o'clock because they can't get the food to the students at home. So what the Chewbox app can do is actually help those kitchens with the ability to partner with a driver or a driver network of some sort to get that food to those students. In addition, if for some reason students are actually not in school, there's still a way that those students could get their lunch delivered to them at home. So we're already talking to a few school districts who are really interested in this model and being able to adapt Chewbox to work in the K through 20 sector.
What is the future plans for the company? Is there an exit plan? Are you looking to be bought out? And if so, who would be the ideal company to buy you?
That's a great question. Of course, we believe there are 2 exit strategies. It's either going to be acquisition or IPO. Those are really the only options. It really depends though. We do see that we are primed for acquisition, and the types of companies that would acquire us would be a food and beverage services company. And there's the 3 big ones in the out here in the zeitgeist, which is Aramark, Sodexo, and Compass Group. So that's where we see like that's likely the places that are ripe for acquisition. However, if we get to a point where our software we're getting too big, then of course it would be an IPO, which might actually be the way that Chewbox goes.
Very good. And then my final question for now, and I'll open it up to the community, is can you talk about the numbers with us? Can you go over some of the financials? How does an investor make money with Chewbox?
So it's not a revenue share structure. So it's not going to be that. It's really going to be riding with us until that exit. Right now, we have on seat at the table for $1,000. You're going to get a certain amount of shares based on that dollar amount. We see this company growing to $1 billion company. So depending on how much you invest, of course, that's going to be 10, 20, 30x of your investment with Chewbox, where we see ourselves going. Right now, we know that if we are running just about 5,000 meals through our system per day, we would be a company that has about 2.5 million annual revenue. We, of course, with just our one Fortune 500 partner that has about 80,000 employees, can actually, even if it's only 10% or 1% of that, we can actually make that. So for us, our goal is really to get to 40,000 meals per day through our system. And so that's not just with one partner, that's with the multitude of partners, which is why we're looking at Chewbox for restaurants and other corporate entities, because we can get to that 4,000 number pretty well. And at that 4,000 number, we'll be doing about 20 million annual revenue, which we believe sets us up really well for the next round of funding to get to that next level.
Very good. Thank you very much for that, Jamila.
Problem.
Right. Jesse said, oh, Jesse, I think I stole your question. Who is the customer for software, consumer or food businesses? And I think you answered that. Sorry, Jesse. And then Jesse said, explain the function of Test Smart Kitchen that Kim mentioned. He said, are you creating the food also?
So for our test kitchen that we have running in Watts, we actually, it's a great question because I get to go into it and I didn't get to talk about it yet. We actually work with folks who are in the community who are culinary experts, but just don't have the money to do a brick and mortar restaurant. They actually develop the menus that are on our Chewbox app. So if you actually can download the Chewbox app right now from the App Store or from the Google Play Store, and you can see the menus that we have on there. These are menus that were created by people we know in the community. Two of the men who actually work in our kitchen and really help to run and develop menus and help others develop menus, actually learned how to cook while incarcerated. So we were able to help them, this skill that they gained while they were incarcerated, and being able to have this opportunity to just show their culinary prowess within their community. So the menus that we have are created by us right now. We hope that as we move away from the kitchens, that our operating partners are able to create those menus with people from communities, since that is a part of what we believe in. We want to empower the communities that we operate in. So that is our goal. I think that's it. Yeah. That's how it is. For folks who actually have a menu on our platform, they actually get a royalty from every single meal that's purchased on their menu. So and having that royalty, it also helps them build up their notoriety. Is that the right word? Yes. Helps them build their brand, as well as have some income come in passively through the app.
Very, very good. I see this as a way also as that, the neighborhood chefs, right? Those, we all have them in all of our neighborhoods, right? That person that cooks the bomb meals, right? And maybe you only catch them when they come in the barbershop or the beauty salon, right? And you call up to see what you got today, right? And what time you're delivering. And that's always a challenge, because when the food is amazing, the clientele is out the door. They can't keep up with the orders. They can't keep up with the deliveries. And it sounds like Chewbox would be a good solution for even those mom and pop kind of startup entrepreneurs, not just the Fortune 500 companies.
Exactly. And those are the types of folks we want to have on our menus. Like, there are other companies out there, ghost kitchens, that are doing it with like the corporations, having a kitchen that can cook Cinnabon and can cook McDonald's and can cook Popeyes. Like, that's great. And that's great for those places. But that's not something that we are trying to do. We really want to work with those folks in the community who have this genius that we want everyone else to see, because they can't keep up with the need to be cooking all the time or even getting the delivery out there, but they could be able to develop a menu that can go on Chewbox, get that revenue from it, build that clientele, build the resources to be able to possibly go into a food truck, be able to have things at farmers markets regularly, be able to possibly at some point demonstrate that they have enough to get a loan from someone to actually do a brick and mortar restaurant. This is the way that we believe that we can generate wealth in our communities through software.
Nice, very good. Tama said, how much time is allotted for one driver to make one round of deliveries? For example, does one driver take hours worth of deliveries, wondering how long the food is sitting from pickup to delivery? So that's a good question, Tama, because we've made it efficient on the front end, right? The food is being cooked in the most efficient way and closest to the time I need it. But then does the driver have so much that now when it gets to me, it's cold anyway?
Great question. So one, the food that we're cooking in the kitchens are high quality food. So they actually keep really well. And we actually test out the food before we actually have it go out. So actually the guys in the kitchen were just talking to a community member who they were trying to figure out the food, and they did the test. And they're like, this food is not going to keep well for the hour that we might need it to be kept well, because it's going to take an hour to get to someone. And so that's something that goes into what we try to do in the kitchens to make sure that people are going to get the food in the right way. So unlike Uber Eats or Postmates, it's not going to be a one-to-one, so it's a one-to-many. A regular sized car can take up to 50 meals. What the cars actually will have are we have a proprietary heat temperature bag that can also be plugged into the car to keep it warm, to make sure that no matter how far away the people are, it's going to get to them hot. It shouldn't be more than an hour, but that's something that our algorithm actually does. So on top of like managing what's going on in the kitchen, it's actually providing that delivery route to the person. So it's not only saying like, okay, you pick up this, it's saying you pick up this, and then this is the route you take to deliver all these orders, and you should be done in this amount of time.
Nice. Nice. It makes it so I'm not going from one end of town with one order just to come back across town for the other one. It's taking me in the logical, most efficient way to get to those. Is it also taking into account traffic and all of those things?
Also taking into account traffic and all those things into the application.
Very good. Very, very good. Jerry said, would you entertain a startup using your delivery software, which would be innovative in a commerce space?
I guess I will answer it, but I'm not sure if I'm going to answer it right. But yes, we would entertain a startup using our software. We actually are working with some other Black startups to just work out some of the things that we have. So we have a delivery partner that is a Black-owned startup that is able to do the logistics of getting food where it needs to go to. We work with a Black-owned scooter company to be able to do the deliveries right in the neighborhood. So working with other startups is something that we want to do, and we want to continue to do, because we think that is the best. We don't need to do everything, and there are people who are doing things out there that we can all grow together.
Nice. Is the scooter company Boaz?
Yep.
Nice, nice. Very, very good. Jesse says, why 1K entry point for shares?
So we had to really think about the price point. So if you don't know, private companies can only have so many investors under their umbrella. And so when doing the math regarding our offering, we believe me, I was like, can we go lower? And then we did the math, and we were like, if we go lower, we're actually going to max out the amount of people that could actually participate in this, and actually not get to the amount of money that we are trying to raise under the special purpose vehicle that we have created for this offering. So that's really the impetus of the $1,000 entry point, is really the mechanics and the legalities around how many investors you can have within a privately held company.
Very good. And I'll just say, for anyone who's concerned about that, I used to be part of a family investment club, and we would invest as the family, right? So everybody's putting in, and we did that in 2017. We did that with quite a few of the equity crowdfunding startups as well. So that's something to consider, right? If you like this, is when you call up 3 of your cousins, right? and you guys all go in together on something like this, if that 1,000 minimum is a little high. So just, something to consider. Jesse says, any potential from selling software to government agencies?
These are all great questions and things that have come up. So yes, there has been some talk with some folks about looking at the Department of Defense, because they do have a lot of food services within the military operations and possibilities there. We have not necessarily gone down that path very hard or looked at those opportunities, but we do understand it's there. Right now, we're really just focused on the Fortune 500 and the restaurants market, and we really want to knock that out of the park, so then we can also start thinking about these other revenue streams of use for this software platform.
Thank you. Jesse said, you know what? All the questions are great, but this one I want to know also. The bag, you talked about the proprietary bag. Is there an opportunity to do something with the bag separate for Uber Eats and for all of those competitors that are doing things? Is there a way to sell them the bag?
Yes, the answer is yes. We are looking at all the different ways in which we can optimize the assets that we have. So we have a software suite of things. So you could have the Chewbox API alone. You could have what we call our Meta Kitchen app, which is just the logistics for the kitchen by itself. You could have the driver app by itself. These are all parts that can be parceled out and commodified in different ways. And we are actually designing it in that way so that we can think about that. And so the bags are one of those things that could also happen. We know that if we work with restaurants, not all the restaurant partners are going to have those bags. So we would actually be selling bags to those restaurants if that's what they wanted. So yes.
Very good. Nice. I see we've got another question from, oh, did Ayana's question go away? So Ayana is asking how many shares do you get if you invest the 1K? And I wanted to share my screen again and go back to the campaign page, because it's better to show where that answer is and where it can be found. So on seat at the table, when you go to terms, right? So I went to terms, it brings you down to the terms section. And here you'll be able to see, the minimum investment information again, talks about, your accreditation. And then also here, it answers that question. What am I actually buying when I invest through this portal? Does it mean I own a piece of Chewbox Inc.? The answer is your investment secures shares in Remunerate, Chewbox's special purpose vehicle. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes, Remunerate.
Remunerate. Oh, Remunerate. Oh, okay, I get it.
Our co-founder really loves to use numbers and things like that.
Get it. Holds approximately 9.33% of Chewbox Inc. share. You will receive a stock purchase agreement to sign, issuing a specific number of shares based on the dollar amount you invest. So that's the answer to that question. Also, are the financials are in here as well, right, Jamila?
Yes. So if you go to the documents, there's actually a deck that has all those financials. So
here we go. I wanted to just show them where that is. So here in this deck is where you can see all the financial information also. So we'll make sure I point all of those important things out to them when they go back and do their due diligence. Let's see. Jerry said, what's the difference between you and say a DoorDash?
Okay, that's a good question. So the difference between us and a DoorDash is just the delivery platform. All they're doing is they have restaurant partners who are on their platform. The restaurants are individually operated. They have drivers that they are managing these drivers, and those drivers are getting the orders as they come. So the first thing that I would say is we are an on-schedule platform. So you don't do it like, I'm hungry, I'm going to order now. You're like, I'm going to be hungry tomorrow. I'm going to order now for Chewbox. Chewbox is on schedule. DoorDash is on demand. You might see like in DoorDash or even in Uber Eats, you can like schedule a time that you want it. So it seems like it's on schedule, but the restaurant actually doesn't know about that order until the time it comes in. So it's in order of the delivery order. So if you put it at 5 o'clock, they're not going to know about it until about 4 o'clock that they need to make that meal. For Chewbox, we're going to know about it once everyone's run. At the cutoff right now, 6 p.m. We're going to know that we have an order. So we're going to be able to know what we need to do to make all the orders that we have. So a DoorDash is a purely on-demand model that doesn't really help to optimize the logistics of your kitchen. It doesn't help you know how much food you need. It doesn't let you know how many people you need, unlike Chewbox. And Chewbox is an end-to-end platform. So we have the customer-facing app. We have the kitchen app that actually manages the kitchen. And we have the driver app. So we are a suite of services. And DoorDash is really a driver platform service for restaurants to plug into.
And in Kim's video, he said you could even schedule that months out, right? I mean, it's not even just a couple of days, it's months, which I think is awesome. So I recently got married over the summer and I had a 4-day event because, right, I had to do the most. And trying to find, places that would let me order food from a catering standpoint in advance. And we didn't want big catering for like the Friday before and all of those days. We just wanted kind of simple stuff, but I couldn't order months in advance. Like every place I tried to order from was telling me you have to come back like 7 days in advance. And I was trying to check things off the list early and I just wasn't able to. So it would have been awesome to be able to check those things off the list by being able to look at your menus and place those orders from Chewbox. You probably had better food anyway.
Exactly. And that's what optimizes the use. Like if you know in a month, I'm going to have this large order of this types of food, you know, okay, well, I can buy that and know that I'm not going to have to worry about going out and getting these little things. I can buy in bulk and I can get better prices and I can know that I'm going to use all of it rather than waste food.
Right. Well, that's really good. Jesse says, is software being tested in international markets since CEO went overseas?
It is not quite yet. However, it is on the roadmap.
Very good. Nice. Any other questions? I'll ask another question. Jamila, why did you want to come to 10K Project?
Well, so it's twofold. So Chewbox, we are an unapologetically Black company. Our entire C-suite is our Black folk. We care about our community, and we see the software as a tool of social justice and growing generational wealth. The entire reason that we decided to do a crowdfund was to be able to open opportunities for folks to participate in our growth. We've been fortunate to, as Kim said, get funding from venture capital funds like Mac Venture Capital, and we continue to do funds in that way. But that also keeps out a lot of people. The way to bring in more people is through a crowdfund. And so we decided to do our crowdfund on Seat at the Table as well, because if we're gonna do something, why not bring more Black folks along with us to do that? So we're on that platform for a very specific reason. And then coming to 10K and talking to Tawana, I'm like, of course, we want the folks who have an opportunity about this to be other Black folk who are really looking at this opportunity to create wealth in their families and in their communities. There are so many people I talk to that don't understand crowdfunding, don't understand that it's actually available to them. They just think, well, I don't have enough money to be someone who's going to be in putting into a small startup at the beginning. And everyone knows that's how you actually create exponential weight, is to get in early. And for so long, only accredited investors could get in, and most accredited investors don't look like us. And it's because of traditional barriers, systemic racism, et cetera, that don't allow us. So the beauty of crowdfunding is that you don't have to be accredited to be a part of it. So we also see that people who are non-traditionally in this area, who are looking to get into it, is an opportunity. And 10K Project, with the education that it's providing to its members, is allowing folks to not only understand this is an opportunity, but to get the education around it, and allowing other organizations and folks like Chewbox to come and talk to those people, I think is the whole reason why we wanted to come to 10K Project with this crowdfund, because we don't want to go alone. We want to take everyone with us.
Well, we want to come. So thank you so very much. And we know how much work this is, right? I say it all the time. Equity crowdfunding is not for the faint of heart, right? It's a whole full-time job. And while the founders are trying to build the empire, they also have to raise capital, and that is not easy. So thank you for taking the time to come to communities like ours, because if you don't reach back to us, oftentimes we don't even know you exist, right? And so we miss those opportunities. So it's because of founders and chief operating officers like yourself to come back and get us, right? So that we're not left behind. So we appreciate that immensely. Any more questions for Jamila before we give our final statements and start putting y'all to task? They already know what I'm gonna say. I'm like a broken record when it comes to the call to action. I'll just say, we got another question before I jump in and say that. Thank you, Gerald. Gerald says, I'm definitely interested in this business, mainly because I have over 40 years as a logistician while serving in the Army, and as well as a current DOD, why are you going to type it twice, Gerald, so I can struggle with the word twice? Logistician. Although I'm not versed on the technical side, I do believe this could revolutionize the restaurant business, etc. Sounds like a solid plan.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And no, the thing about it, what we also, I'll just put this one plug in. What we really loved about our early investors is everyone comes with such expertise that we're able to tap into, because we are experts, we know things, but we don't know everything. And so we've had really great early investors who've been really trusted advisors in helping us get to the next place. So we want everyone in there. We talk to our investors pretty often. If we know you have expertise, believe you me or Kim or someone is going to reach out to you and be like, hey, can we have a chat real quick? So we don't just see people who become investors as people who are like, you gave us your money and now we're going to go. We see you as real partners in our growth and being able to move forward. And we value the expertise of the people who are investors in our company.
Very good. Jesse said, is there a sales staff at this point?
There is not a sales staff, actually, and that is why we are actually raising money, because we do need to build our sales staff. So right now, our CEO is really our sales team. Me and the CEO are our sales team. We do have other folks who can really help us. We have advisors actually in the restaurant industry who have expertise and connections in the network that really help us get into the restaurants. For Chewbox for Restaurants, we'll be able to really introduce us to the folks there, as well as folks who have a lot of experience around corporate, selling into corporate entities. So although we don't have on our staff right now a sales team, we have advisors who have a lot of expertise and are helping us very closely to be able to do that sales. But one part of this raise is really to be able to really build out our sales team, because we are going to, because it's software, it goes fast. And so we know that we need to get in place to be able to do that.
Very good. Larry, hey, Larry. Larry is one of our 10K members who's actually a founder himself of a company called Over the Top Ladders. So check Larry's ladder out on YouTube. It is truly amazing. Larry said this is a great missing link. And I agree. That efficiency for restaurants and that's key. And I love, I've only done the Uber Eats thing a couple of times because I've got issue with like him I say him because I'm being very sexist right now. So gentlemen, please. But all the drivers I have been men, and they haven't always looked right. Just say that, right? And I just have issues with what they're doing with my food in the car alone. I feel a little better if they're in the car with 50 orders than if they're just in the car with mine.
That is something.
I have admittedly have some issues, but I do love the efficiency of it all, right? We're using apps and technology to do everything else. This is actually making the technology more efficient, right? It's like adding technology to places where it's not. And then also when you think about how we're getting the delivery, you're upping the game for all of those delivery companies. Also, they're going to want to tap into your application for just that. How do we get more efficient part? Like they may, they don't need the how to place the order part, but they're gonna come to you. You almost need to carve that part out, right? Mm-hmm. What's the best route part? Exactly. You need to carve that out and sell that to Uber and all of those places because they need that. Mm-hmm. I mean, the few times I've used it, my food is always cold. Always.
That has happened to me a few times too. So yeah, I think that's like kind of the genius around Kim and Flex, our other co-founder, and just seeing what was going on and being like, there's nothing happening here. Why is nothing happening here? Okay, we're going to make the thing that happens here. And for restaurants in general, we know restaurants are like the hardest business to do. And it's really around this optimization of not being able to understand the supply and demand and bringing it closer together so that you can actually optimize your ability to generate revenue. So we really do see this as everyone's saying, the missing link and something that can be revolutionary in the food industry.
Yeah, agreed. Larry also said receiving warm food or hot is a game changer. He said the bag is key.
Yes.
Yeah. Wonderful. I love how you've got, like, it's this big solution, but I love how we just kind of dissected it and made each piece a standalone. So it works amazingly together, but they all work separately also. And I don't know if that was by design, but I get it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely by design. Our CTO Flex is a genius, and he's like, we should make sure that these things can be separate in how they work, but being able to talk to all of it to talk to each other, because we see that as one of the plays to be together and also separately.
Nice. Very, very good. Any other questions, last questions, comments? Anything for Jamila before I jump in and give my closing comments? Okay, I'll jump in while I'm talking. If you guys want to pop in with a question, go ahead. As always, do your due diligence, right? We showed you the campaign page. We put the campaign link here. I know the question came up about the $1,000. I want to make sure you guys understand that you can join together with family to mitigate that concern that you may have. We get that, you know, you only have a certain amount of disposable income. We want you to be healthy investors. We do not want you calling Jamila and Kim talking about, I need that money back because the rent's due, or little Johnny needs some raviolis. Like, we don't want that, right? So we teach you to be responsible investors. And so, you know, part of being responsible is to be mindful of that. However, we also teach group economics here at 10K Project, right? And we know that we can only do this together. That's why we're all here, right? And so, you know, consider, if that $1,000 is a barrier, consider joining forces with some of your family members or close friends to be able to say, let's go half on this. This is awesome, right? This is something awesome that we can get into and build wealth together. So something for you definitely to consider. You know, the thing I'm going to ask you all to do more than anything else is please share this campaign link. Please put it on all your social platforms. Please email it to some friends, text it to some friends. Those dreaded group texts that I hate getting, I wouldn't mind getting this campaign link in a group text. It's the one I would not wish that somebody just took me out of, right? So this is the thing I want somebody to send me in a group text is an investment opportunity, right? You know, but please share the campaign. I'm making jokes, but it's really not a serious matter. We know that this campaign is over in, I think, 28 days.
Yes.
And they need more eyes on the campaign. They're about 24% into their goal. So that means they've got 76% left, right? I can do easy math. 76% left to go. And they need us. They need our help to get there. That's why Jamila is here. And that's why Kim made such a thoughtful video for us on his way out of the country. And so please consider joining Chewbox on their mission to make changes in the way food service and food delivery is handled. Sylvia said, joining late. Yes, it is being recorded, Sylvia, and you should get it. If not this evening, you'll get it in the morning in your email, and you can rewatch it. And this is a good one. You should rewatch them. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Jamila to give her closing remarks.
Well, you said it all. I'm just going to say thank you so much for this opportunity to talk about Chewbox more. Thank you for the community for giving us those really thoughtful questions. Like, they were great questions and really helped us think as well. If it hasn't come up before, it makes us think about the things that we can do in the future and to build our roadmap. We really appreciate this community. We really want to move with our community and bring everyone up with us because we don't want to go alone. If you have questions, I feel free to email me, jamila@chewbox.com. I can answer any questions that you might have with regard to the campaign or anything else. But with that, I just want to say thank you. I hope that some of you or all of you will join us on our journey because we're really excited about it. And we really believe that we're going to go far and build something that is revolutionary and be Black people doing that, which is great.
That's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And that's music to my ears. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to do it together. And when our great grandchildren look back on their history, it's going to be a whole different story. And it's going to be that different story because we made it different. We showed them something different. We allowed them to have a better life. So, you know, continue to build wealth, community members, continue to invest in Black founders. They are doing great work. And oftentimes we don't make them a household name because they just can't get enough capital to become one. And we've seen that time and time again, right? We've seen our people come here to 10K and talk about they built something way before that household name company was out there doing the same thing. And we got to change that narrative. When we are innovative and come to the table with the idea first, then we need to be the first to market and the first in the household. We can't keep coming in second when we're first. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, it logically doesn't make sense. And it keeps happening. And it's always the same reason, because they don't have the capital. Somebody who had a lot more access to cash came in and took the idea and was able to build it overnight because, you know, their auntie or uncle gave them $1 million to just go have fun with. Like, we need to change that narrative and rally behind these founders. We can do it. We can do it together. We know that it's been proven, right? There have been successes in this industry of equity crowdfunding. And we know that when we come together, we are a powerful force. And so, you know, continue to do good work in that area. Jamila, thank you so much. Please tell Kim, thank you so much. We're sorry we didn't see him personally, but the video was very nice and very thoughtful that he took the time to do that so that we could get to meet him as well. So thank you all so much. Everyone in the community, have a wonderful evening. Have a peaceful, productive rest of your week. The emphasis on peaceful. And I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much. I love you all. Peace and blessings.
Thank you.
Good night.